Hare Krishna. I would like to welcome all of you all to this very special Ekadashi Satsang. And today is the most auspicious day of Shine Ekadashi. It is also called Ashadi Ekadashi, and it is considered to be one of the most auspicious Ekadashis of the year. So, on this most auspicious day, we're going to be discussing stories of Tukaram Maharaj and Pandarpur Dham, Vitthal, Rukmini, specifically because Ashadi Ekadashi is considered to be very, very auspicious in Pandarpur Dham. Thousands of devotees travel all the way walking for hundreds of miles to reach Pandarpur on the day of Ashadi Ekadashi. One of the reasons why Ashadi Ekadashi is so prominent and so powerful is because this Ekadashi is the mark of the beginning of Chaturmas. It is said that Lord Vishnu goes into Shayanam, he goes into a sleep, Yoga Nidra, for the next 4 months. And this Ekadashi is like the mark that begins the celestial sleep of Lord Vishnu. And because this Ekadashi is considered to be so auspicious, of course, from a spiritual point of view, it is said that because the Lord is going into sleep, the devotees are not going to have his association or his darshan for 4 months. So they throng to visit him, throng to associate with him, and have glimpses of Lord's darshan. That's the mood with which this Ekadashi is celebrated. That's a mood. It's like a mood of viraha. It is a mood of separation from the Lord, for 4 long months. And then in Kartik Mas, there is another Ekadashi which is called Utthana Ekadashi, which is the time when the Lord wakes up from his Yoga Nidra. And again, that is a festival, So that is the way in which these Ekadashis are organized. So today, on this most auspicious Ekadashi, Ashadi Ekadashi day, I'm going to be sharing with you all some fantastic stories of Tukaram Maharaj and Vitthal, and the mood in which the Supreme Lord is worshipped by his devotees. And the stories that I'm going to share with you all today for the next half an hour or so are extremely potent stories. They are stories of devotion. They're stories of bhakti. They're stories of great sacrifice. They're stories of inspiration. And more than anything else, they are stories that remind us that human beings, if they dedicate themselves with all their hearts, they can overcome all obstacles on the path of Krishna consciousness, on the path of devotion, and take up spirituality and take up the concept of spirituality to another level. And more than anything else, the stories show us how the Lord reciprocates at each level. So many times when we go through tough times and difficulties, we tend to give up, and our faith tends to shake. Here is a story of Tukaram Maharaj and his connection with Vitthal that made history. And some of these stories are so beautiful and so heart-touching that it will make us really cry. So let us, in this mood, understand the concept of the mood of devotion of these great saints, and understand how we can benefit and learn from the life of these personalities. And especially because on today's day, Ashadi Ekadashi day, is the day in which the Tukaram Maharaj achieved the perfection of his life. And this is considered to be a very auspicious day in Pandarpur Dham. So in that mood, we are contemplating. We are not physically able to go to Pandarpur because whatever our limitations are in different parts of the world, etc. But we can at least mentally go there. The journey of all these devotees going from wherever they are to Pandarpur Dham is months-long journey many times, and most of them walk barefoot for months together to reach Pandarpur, on Ashadi Ekadashi day. We are not able to do that, but at least let us mentally go to Pandarpur Dham, mentally go towards Vitthal, who is not different from Balakrishna, a childhood form of Krishna. I mean, it's so sweet. I was once there at Pandarpur Dham and attending the Mangal Aarti of Vitthal and Rukmini. And that what I saw with my own eyes is actually a proof how the of Vitthal is Balakrishna. So one of the things they do is, so when they are, so Mangal Aarti time is a time where everyone gets to have darshan of the deities. But the speciality of Pandarpur Dham is that you not only get to see the deities, but you can actually see the Abhishek of the deities early in the morning. And not only the Abhishek, they dress the deities in front of you only, literally. So you can see the entire Shringar, you can see the Abhishek, and you can see all the ceremonies that happen. And one of the ceremonies that happens in the middle of this whole elaborate ritual is something that really caught my attention. What they do is they take a lump of butter. When I'm saying lump, it's like such a huge lump of butter. And this is not just ordinary butter, this is sweetened butter, basically. They take a lump of this butter and they stick it to the mouth of Vitthal. And they leave it there in the mouth of Vitthal for like quite some time. So Krishna, when he was a child, he loved butter. And especially Makhan Mishri, butter mixed with sugar. He loved it. So Mother Yashoda would feed him this on a regular basis. In that mood, the devotees of Pandarpur Dham, they take a whole makhan, butter filled with sugar, and they stick it on the mouth of Vitthal so that he can keep eating it while they're dressing, while they're doing many other things. They understand the mood of Krishna, and that's what I found to be very, very special in that morning ritual. So the story of Tukaram Maharaj, it is a story which is very, very fantastic. It begins with Tukaram Maharaj, his father dying of a particular illness. So Tukaram Maharaj had two brothers, and at a particular point, the father of Tukaram Maharaj died, and eventually Tukaram Maharaj, he had to take on a lot of responsibilities of the family. So Tukaram Maharaj married once, but his first wife, her name was Rukma Bhai. So she died of starvation during a famine. So before, Tukaram Maharaj was born in a family that had sufficient means. But after this famine and due to this massive famine that happened in that area of Dehu, Pandarpur for such a long period of time, they lost everything literally. Then eventually difficulties began and he lost everything. Many years later, Tukaram Maharaj again married to a lady named Jijabai of Avali. And so eventually through Jijabai, Tukaram Maharaj had 3 children. And the amazing thing about Tukaram Maharaj is the connection with Tukaram Maharaj and our own parampara, Gaudiya Vaishnava parampara, is that Tukaram, in one of his Abhangas, he explains that Chaitanya Baba came in his dream and initiated him. And it is the same duration. So the Tukaram Maharaj's story happens about 500 years before. It is the same duration during which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also visited Pandarpur, also passed through Maharashtra, so many of the places of Maharashtra that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited. It was in that period that Tukaram Maharaj had a dream, had a vision. And in his vision, he says, Chaitanya Baba initiated me. So our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, many of our great teachers explain that this Chaitanya Baba initiating, that what Tukaram Maharaj talks about, is actually Lord Chaitanya initiated Tukaram Maharaj in his dream. So therefore, we consider Tukaram Maharaj also to be a part of our parampara only, because Lord Chaitanya directly initiated him, almost at the same level as the Goswamis of Vrindavan, as disciples of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is the mood with which Gaudiya Vaishnavas understand the devotion of Tukaram Maharaj. And his devotion was very personal. He was not into the impersonal form of devotion to the Lord, but he had a very personal way of connecting with the Lord. And he would say, do you want to eat sugar or do you want to become sugar? And it's a very interesting way of looking at it, So the impersonal form of worship is that we become God. That's the Mayavad concept of worship. But the personal form of worship is that we can never become God. We don't want to become God, but we want to always serve God. Because the devotees feel that they enjoy more by serving Him. And the Lord also feels, what do these people enjoy so much? What do they get out of serving me and chanting my names? He is the Lord Krishna was so inquisitive and amazed by what devotees get by serving me that he took the form of Lord Chaitanya. He took the form of a devotee to come and experience what devotees get. So Tukaram Maharaj's example is very apt in that concept because he's saying, I don't want to become sugar. I want to taste sugar. Similarly, the thought is that I don't want to become God, but I want to serve God and experience bliss by serving Him. That's the mood of Tukaram Maharaj. And it is a very, very evolved and exalted mood that all our acharyas have. So, Tukaram Maharaj, he was very, very spiritually inclined. And at some point, his spiritual inclination became so powerful that it spontaneously started coming out in the form of poems. So Tukaram would not sit and compose poems. He was not like the typical poets of today, where they're sitting with a paper and pen and scribbling, marking it, cancelling it. They're thinking a lot and all. That is not the Tukaram Maharaj's style. Tukaram Maharaj's Abhangas, poems, are very spontaneous and they come straight from his heart. And because they come straight from his heart, they are so powerful and so potent. So at some point, while Tukaram Maharaj was, becoming very, very powerful through his writings and speaking, etc., and his poems were becoming famous, there was one particular jealous Brahmin. He started shouting at him for writing prayers on the Vedas, based on the Vedas. And this particular Brahmin, he was so envious of Tukaram Maharaj. See, the nature of envy is that you tend to become envious of people who have any skills or talents, basically. The reality is that when we become envious of anybody's skills or talents, we're actually becoming envious of a particular aspect of God. Because all skills and talents that we have in our hearts, in our lives, are given to us by God. So when we become envious of anyone, any particular skill or any particular ability that a person has, any person for that matter, we are actually envious of one little aspect of God. And that is one of the reasons we have come to this material world. The very reason we are in the material world is because we are envious of God. And that envy is manifested today in this world, in our lives, in the form of being envious of devotees, in the form of being envious of people around us, those who are blessed by God in some way. Anyone who has any kind of opulence, we should know, is blessed by God. No opulence in this world can come without the blessing of the Lord. Whether it is knowledge, it is fame, it is power, it is wealth, it is beauty or renunciation. No opulence can come without the blessing of the Lord. If someone has any kind of opulence, you should know that person is blessed by the Lord. And if the person is blessed by the Lord and we become envious of that particular opulence, we actually are becoming envious of God who has given this person that opulence. And that is one of the primary reasons we are here in the material world. So Tukaram Maharaj was singing his Abhangas, beautiful prayers offering to the Lord, and this person became envious of that. Can you imagine if someone is doing something spiritual, offering prayers, how can you become envious of that? But the nature of the material world is that anyone who is very good at something becomes very popular. And that popularity is what attracts envy. If Tukaram was not popular and nobody knew about his Abhangas, this person would not have had any issue with him. But because Tukaram became popular, that's when this person started having issues with him. So he forced him to throw the Abhangas, throw this the collection of poems that Tukaram Maharaj wrote into the river. And so basically, Tukaram Maharaj had no option because he was being forced by all these Brahmanas to throw his Abhangas into the Indrayani river. And Tukaram Maharaj, he felt so bad. He felt so bad that all his poems are going into the water. Now, obviously, he is not feeling bad that my work is going into the water. What he's feeling bad about is that the poems that he wrote are not just ordinary words. They were his offering to the Lord. And he was thinking, my offering to the Lord is going into the river. It's getting, I'm supposed to be offering it to the lotus feet of Vitthal, but instead it is going into the river. He just couldn't contain his sadness. And he sat there on a rock outside, just on the banks of the Indrayani river for 12 days, fasting, without eating anything, without drinking anything. And Tukaram Maharaj, it is explained, there are two versions to this story. What happened after this? So, usually, when Tukaram Maharaj was sitting there fasting, his poems had created such an impact that thousands of villagers had gathered there. And they were along with Tukaram Maharaj and his wife and children, just sitting there and completely fasting, completely lamenting about the loss, such a major loss to humanity. One version of the story says that in 12 days, a goddess from that river, the Indrayani river personified, appeared, along with the manuscripts, along with the palm leaves, where Tukaram Maharaj had written those Abhangas, and gave it back to him. But a second version is a more interesting version, and I feel it is a more human version and a more powerful version. When Tukaram Maharaj was sitting there and fasting, one by one villagers started gathering. And soon there were thousands and thousands of villagers there. Practically the whole of the village was there in that place, on the banks of the Indrayani river. And the most amazing thing was, all those people gathered there, they started singing the Abhangas of Tukaram Maharaj, one after another. And practically every single Abhanga that Tukaram Maharaj had composed, all of them knew it by heart. This is the power of prayers offered by pure devotees. Something similar would happen in Vrindavan. Mother Yashoda, every morning, she would compose a beautiful poem about Krishna's previous day's activities. So she would, put it in the form of a beautiful poetry, and she would sing it. So basically, early in the morning, while she was cooking for Krishna in the kitchen, she would be singing poems, singing songs about Krishna's previous day's activities. The gopis that were assisting her, around her, would hear the songs sung by Yashoda Mai, and they would learn it. And they would also sing along with her. And by the end of the cooking seva, the gopis would all have learned that song of Yashoda Mai. And they would go out and go and sing it at their houses. And their family, their husbands, their children, their parents, everybody would be hearing the song and they would learn it. And then they would go out and do their work. And while they're doing their work, they would sing this song. And all the people that are working along with them would hear it. And that way, by the evening, every single person in Vrindavan knew that song. And they would be singing it. What a way to meditate, isn't it? The Abhangas of Tukaram Maharaj created that kind of an impact. And every single person in Dehu knew those Abhangas by heart. And it is said, Indrayani river didn't give back the Abhangas. But all these people, all of them wrote it together and created the Abhangas again. And I feel that is such a powerful story because it shows the impact that Tukaram Maharaj had on the hearts of people. And it is said that when Tukaram Maharaj, the Abhangas came back out, everyone understood that these are authentic Abhangas. Even today, if you go to a place known as Dehu, which is the birthplace of Tukaram Maharaj, there is a temple called Gatha Mandir. And on the walls, every single wall of the temple is filled with Abhangas of Tukaram Maharaj. This is probably the only temple in the world that is dedicated to poetry of a poet, glorifying the Supreme Lord. That's the kind of power and impact that Tukaram Maharaj had on the world. So it is explained that one time in the spiritual world, all the devotees assembled in the spiritual world were discussing that someone should go and preach in Kali Yuga. And they chose Nama Prabhu to go and compile Abhangas. Who is Nama Prabhu? Nama Prabhu is the holy name of the Lord. So the holy name of the Lord is called Nama. Hari Nam we say, right? So Nama is the holy name. And why is it called Nam Prabhu? It's called Nama Prabhu because the holy name is not a thing. It's a person. And therefore it is respectfully called Nama Prabhu. And therefore the holy name personified was told to go to the material world and preach. And it is said that holy name personified that came into the material world to preach is Tukaram Maharaj. He is an incarnation of the holy name of the Lord, and he composed so many Abhangas. In fact, it is explained that in the temple of Vitthal, there is a particular step on which you climb to the temple. There are many steps, right, that lead to the temple. There is one particular step on the temple of Vitthal in Pandarpur. It is called Namachi Payari. So what is the meaning of Namachi Payari? It is a samadhi of Tukaram Maharaj. It is said that Tukaram Maharaj eternally resides there in the form of a step. Why? So that all the devotees who go to have darshan of Vitthal first step on him and then go in. What an exalted thought, isn't it? I mean, imagine, have you ever thought, I wish I was a step in the temple of the Lord, so that devotees step on me and go inside the temple. You know, this is the mood of Tukaram Maharaj, and this is the mood of Nama Prabhu. It is said that whenever Tukaram Maharaj would do kirtans, thousands of people would come to attend the kirtan of Tukaram Maharaj. You know, every time Tukaram Maharaj sang, the hall was packed with devotees. But very often, once the hall gets packed with devotees, Tukaram Maharaj would go missing. You know what he would be doing? He would be outside the temple arranging the shoes of the devotees, putting the shoes of the devotees in order. And this was the mood of Tukaram Maharaj. He was thinking that, you know, before I serve the devotees by singing bhajans, let me take the dust of the feet of the devotees and serve their footwear. So he would actually go out and serve the footwear of the devotees by putting them in order, arranging them. And that actually he felt is my qualification for me to sing and lead kirtans. Tukaram Maharaj was one time shifting the fence of his neighbor. And so Tukaram Maharaj was obviously in a very dire situation of life. So spiritually, he was very prosperous. But materially, he was in a very bad shape. So he would take up some odd jobs to maintain himself, manage his household, etc. You know. So one particular time, Tukaram Maharaj was shifting the fence of his neighbor. And this neighbor became so angry at Tukaram Maharaj for a very, very simple thing, you know. So he took a stick and he started hitting Tukaram Maharaj very, very badly. And the stick was not even a normal stick, it was a very thorny stick. There were a lot of thorns in it. With that stick, he was hitting the back of Tukaram Maharaj. It was very, very painful. And then, Tukaram Maharaj did not retaliate at all. He just kept quiet, tolerated the pain. He just kept quiet. Then during Ashadi Ekadashi day, in the kirtan, so when Tukaram Maharaj was leading kirtan, Tukaram Maharaj saw that this particular neighbor of Tukaram Maharaj, he was missing. He was not there in the Ashadi Ekadashi kirtan, basically. So Tukaram Maharaj went to the house of this particular neighbor and saw that this person was very sick. And Tukaram Maharaj sat there and nursed him, massaged him, took care of him. I mean, look at this. How can a person who has beaten you so much caring and loving for him, when Ashadi Ekadashi Kirtan, hundreds and thousands of people would be there. But yet, Tukaram Maharaj was caring for this one single person who was missing. So this is the mood of great devotees of the Lord. They are so compassionate. They are so much drawn towards serving people. And they don't care if you're a devotee or not a devotee, if you're a good person or a bad person, if you are harm them or hurt them. They don't care for that. For them, they just do their service because they see the spark of divinity in each one. Tukaram Maharaj could see that there is Krishna even in this person. And therefore, he felt that if I serve this person, I'm actually serving the Paramatma within this person. So Tukaram Maharaj, his thought was very interesting. One of his Abhangas, he would say that the one who criticizes you, that person's house should be next to you. The one who's your greatest critic, that person should be your neighbor. Because he said they are like pigs who remove impiety by giving criticism. So he said, those who praise you, they smell like pig stool. It's a very interesting, of course, don't go by the names that he's using. It's a very interesting way of looking at it, basically. He's saying that those who criticize you, they are your friends. And those who praise you, they are actually your enemies. Those who criticize you, they are eating away your bad karma. They are eating away your anarthas. They are eating away your bad karma. And because they are eating away your bad karma, they are actually your friends. So he is comparing them to a pig that eats away dirty things, basically. That eats away junk, right? So pigs eat all kind of junk, isn't it? So all the bad karma that we have is considered by Tukaram Maharaj to be like junk, which pigs eat away. So he's saying bad people who criticize you, they are actually your friends because they're eating away all the bad karma from your life. And good people, rather those who are praising you, and let's not call it bad people and good people, let's call it people who are critical and people who are praising. So those who are praising, they are actually not so good for you. They're actually your enemies because they are like pigs that pass stool. So what is he comparing? He's comparing praise to stool. So which means that, unfortunately for us, if you look at our own mind, we get so attracted to praise, isn't it? And we think those who praise us are nice people and those who criticize us are bad people, isn't it? But here Tukaram Maharaj is exactly the opposite. He's thinking those who praise us, they're actually bad people. And those who criticize us are actually good people because they're doing good for us. So imagine we start thinking like this about people around us. How beautiful life would be, isn't it? You run away from praise and we would embrace criticism and feedbacks because we would consider that to be so valuable for our growth. One time, Tukaram Maharaj took up a job of guarding a field of Janoba. So he would take up these odd jobs just to get some sustenance. So he took up a job of guarding a field of a person named Janoba. And Tukaram Maharaj was guarding the field. It was like an all-night process. So in those days, animals would come and attack, eat away the crop like that, So they would have these guards. So Tukaram Maharaj was sitting there and guarding the fields. And then he thought, anyway, I'm sitting here and guarding the field. I have to stay here all night. Let me sing Kirtan. So he was singing all night long. And as he was singing all night long, he was having these beautiful thoughts. One thought that he had was looking at all the crop that is growing around. He was thinking, my dear Lord, you're so great You put one seed on the ground, and so many seeds come out from it. Such huge corns come out from it, and from that, so many other seeds can come out. Plants can come out, and so he was thinking that everything in this world is filled with Panduranga. Like that, he was absorbed in this meditation. Close his eyes, completely absorbed in this meditation. So this is the way in which Tukaram Maharaj would meditate. He would take one thought, any thought that connects with Krishna, and he would take that one thought and meditate on that one thought for hours together. It is a very beautiful way of meditation. So it is something that we should all try. Take one thought and meditate on it for hours. Like, say, for example, if you get one beautiful thought that anywhere I see something very beautiful in this world, it is a reflection of Krishna's smile. So the moment you have this one thought that anything beautiful in this world is a reflection of Krishna's smile, you see a flower and you immediately remember Krishna's smile. You see some beautiful bird, immediately remember Krishna's smile. Anything that is beautiful in this world, a beautiful scenery, you can immediately remember Krishna's smile. So this is a form of meditation which Tukaram Maharaj introduces us to. So he was meditating like this, and he closed his eyes completely and absorbed in this one single meditation. As he was meditating like this, one very envious person, the same person that had told him to drop his books into the river, his name was Salomal. So he sent a cattle into the field, a lot of animals into the field to go and eat the crops. And Janoba came back the next day, and he saw all his crops were destroyed. Very little crops were left actually. The cattle had just eaten up so much. He was very, very angry at Tukaram Maharaj. And he took Tukaram Maharaj to the local assembly. It's called Panchayat in India. He took them to that local Panchayat, and he complained against Tukaram Maharaj. And then he said, we have to sell his house. Only then I'll get back my money. So they said that the Panchayat told him, fine, you can sell his house, but first measure how much grains you have left with you. And then after that, whatever is remaining, you can sell his house and make the money. So they told him, right in front of us, we want you to calculate. So he got all the remaining grains that were there left in that field, So the crop was harvested and the remaining grains were brought. And they started measuring the grains. And you know what they found out? They found out the quantity of grains that were there that particular year were 15 times more than the previous year. In fact, he had to give some grains to Tukaram Maharaj because, there was so much abundance basically. And Tukaram Maharaj didn't have to sell his house also. And in fact, he got so much grains in return from a crop that was completely damaged by cattle. And that is when everybody understood that this Tukaram Maharaj is not an ordinary person. Tukaram Maharaj and his wife had a very interesting equation. Tukaram Maharaj is a great devotee of Lord Vitthal, a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. But his wife, she somehow did not connect with Vitthal at all. She was only interested in serving her husband and her family. She was not at all interested in serving the Lord. In fact, she felt that this Lord, Panduranga, Vitthal, has taken my husband away, so he is bad. So she didn't even want to look at Vitthal, forget worshipping him and all. She felt he is my enemy, basically. He's taking my husband away. So she was in that mood, basically. So Tukaram Maharaj's wife, she served her husband with all her heart, completely dedicated. So she was not serving the Lord, but she was serving the devotee of the Lord with all her heart, She gets so much more benefit. One time, something very interesting happened. Tukaram Maharaj was in his meditation, he was sitting on a hill, basically. So Tukaram's wife, she had a habit that till her husband ate, she would not eat. So she would make sure that Tukaram Maharaj ate first and then she would eat her meal. So here, The problem was that her husband could not always be at home. He would be somewhere. And many times she would not know where he has gone also. Because he would just be lost somewhere and sitting and meditating for hours together. So she had to go and find him. Because without him eating, she can't eat. So she would go roaming around and finding where Tukaram is. There were 4 mountains which were favorite places where Tukaram would go and meditate. And Tukaram would meditate on any of them. It's not that he had set days on which he would meditate on different mountains. He would just go to any mountain any day and sit and meditate. So she had to go and find Tukaram in the dense jungle. So many trees were there, and there was a pretty large hill. So she would be at the bottom of the hill trying to find out which mountain Tukaram is on. So imagine if she had to climb up every mountain to figure out where her husband is. She would never be able to find him that day, isn't it? So Tukaram's wife, she found a very unique way of figuring out where her husband is, on which mountain. She would go to the base of the mountain and pick up any rock of that mountain. And she would put that rock on her ears. She would just put the rock on her ears like this. If her husband was on that mountain, from that rock that she's holding in her ears, she would hear the holy name. Imagine what immense power Tukaram Maharaj had. No wonder it is said that he is Nam Prabhu personified, come into this age of Kali. Literally the entire mountain would be reverberating with the holy name of the Lord, which Tukaram would be chanting on top of the mountain. That's the power of Tukaram Maharaj. And that's the intelligence of his wife. His wife was not a devotee. She was not at all interested in Krishna consciousness. She was not at all interested in bhakti. But she knew the science of bhakti. She knew the power of bhakti. And she very well recognized it. She picked up the rock, put it in her ears, and she would recognize Tukaram is on this mountain. So then she would, walk along that mountain and go and feed him. One particular day when she was about to go up the mountain, while climbing the mountain, it is said that a thorn pricked her feet. So she was holding food in both her hands, and a thorn pricked her feet. Now, she didn't want to keep the food on the floor because it would get contaminated and dirty, So she was somehow trying to get rid of the thorn without, having to drop her food on the ground. At that time, it is said that Vitthal, the Supreme Lord himself, came there to help her remove the thorn. And you know what the amazing thing was? This lady, she said, I will not even look at you. Don't touch me. Don't help me. She refused Vittal's help. So she turned her face, when Vittal was on this side. Vittal came running this side. She said, no, please, let me help you. She turned her face away. Again, Vittal came running the third side. Like this, she changed her direction 8 times. And Vittal ran all around her, circumventing her literally, trying to get her attention and trying to tell her, please let me help you. Imagine, even if you are not a devotee, if you are somewhere related to a devotee, it's enough. That's all we need. Varadaraj in Kanchipuram, he tells Ramanacharya this. Ramanacharya through Kanchipurna asked Varadaraj, will I ever get liberation? You know what Varadaraj said? Varadaraj said, because you are related to Kanchipurna, anyone related to Kanchipurna will get liberation. Ramanacharya was so thrilled that because I am related to Kanchipurna, I am going to get liberation. And Kanchipurna was a disciple of Ramanacharya. Kanchipurna was he was related to Ramanacharya in that way. So here, Ramanacharya felt so happy that because I'm related to him, I'm going to get liberated. So it is explained that the devotees of the Lord are so amazing that even if you are somehow related to that person, even as an enemy, you are going to get the benefit of it. So Tukaram Maharaj's wife was not at all a devotee, but she was related to Tukaram Maharaj, that's all. Vittal was ready to do anything for her, basically. And then finally, Vittal was running all around the place. She closed her eyes. She said, get out from here, And she would call him Kalia. Kalia means the black one, basically. And she would say, Kalia, go from here. It is a very interesting relationship she had here. She closed her eyes. I don't want to see you. Vitthal appeared in her heart and telling her, please, please let me help you, basically. And Vitthal tells her from her heart, Vitthal is telling her that both of us are in the same state. I am in the same state as you. I am also searching for your husband, and you are also searching for your husband. Let us both search for him together. Like this, Vitthal is telling her. And finally, she agreed for Vitthal to remove the thorn. Vitthal removed the thorn from her feet. Vitthal was holding her feet and removing the thorn. Imagine that. And then Jijabai, she went all the way to the top of the mountain and fed Tukaram Maharaj food. It is explained that once Tukaram Maharaj was being bitten by mosquitoes. Thousands of mosquitoes were biting Tukaram Maharaj. But Tukaram Maharaj was so absorbed in the holy name of the Lord that he did not even swat the mosquitoes away. He did not even try to swat the mosquitoes away. He just continued intensely chanting the holy names of the Lord. Tukaram Maharaj was such an amazing personality that every single thing, so many things that he did was just fantastic. In fact, to the extent that Shivaji Maharaj was such a great emperor, came and took shelter of Tukaram Maharaj. When he came to know about Tukaram Maharaj's greatness, and he gave him great amount of wealth, Tukaram Maharaj has returned all of it away. And Shivaji Maharaj got even more convinced that this is the person I want to surrender my life to. So Shivaji Maharaj had two gurus. One was Samartha Ramdas, from whom he learned so much about the world politics and dynamics and all that, and took guidance from him for that. And Tukaram Maharaj was the person whom he learned bhakti from. So Shivaji Maharaj had both these teachers to teach him two different aspects of life. And Shivaji Maharaj was so touched by Tukaram's devotion and his dedication. He told him while going back after meeting Tukaram Maharaj, he said, I am now going back to my palace, but not as a king, but I'm going back as a servant of my people. That is the kind of impact that Tukaram Maharaj had on Shivaji Maharaj with one meeting and the profound instructions that Shivaji was given by Tukaram Maharaj. On the last day of Tukaram Maharaj's life, he came to his wife and he told her, Jijabai, he told her that, do you want to come with me? I'm going to the spiritual world. His wife said, if I go to the spiritual world, who will take care of our children and our buffalo? They had one very interesting buffalo that she loved a lot, So Tukaram Maharaj told her, forget, God is there, he'll take care, She said, come with me, I'll take you to the spiritual world. Tukaram Maharaj's wife said, no, I want to stay here and take care of our buffalo and our children, Tukaram Maharaj just walked away and he began to sing. And as he began to sing, right in front of his eyes. So people started gathering. Thousands of people started gathering around Tukaram Maharaj, And right in front of everyone's eyes, right in front of their eyes, an airplane came from Vaikunta. A Vaikunta plane came, descended down, and Tukaram Maharaj ascended the Vaikunta airplane and started, going away, basically, to the spiritual world. And the most amazing thing about this whole thing is that Tukaram Maharaj did not leave his body. He went with the same body to the spiritual world. He did not die. He went in the same body to the spiritual world. It is explained that the body of Tukaram Maharaj was so pure that it didn't have to go through a change. That was the kind of personality that Tukaram Maharaj had, and that is the kind of power that devotion to Vitthal gave him. The Vaikunta airplane came right in front of everybody's eyes. So this is one of the most powerful stories that we can hear. Now, the story of Tukaram Maharaj is not, we can't say it's an exception. We can't say that, Tukaram Maharaj was great, therefore this happened to him. The understanding that we need to take is that just like he had such great devotion to the Lord, if we have a farthing of that devotion, we can achieve so much in our spiritual journeys. So let us all, on this most auspicious day of Ashadi Ekadashi, absorb ourselves in these beautiful stories and teachings that we learned today, and absorb ourselves in the meditations that we shared today, and spend the Ekadasi day trying to chant more, trying to absorb ourselves in bhajan, trying to read scriptures more, and trying to do our meditation in whatever way we want. As I gave you all a thought, take one particular thought and meditate on it for hours. We can try that and see how we experience Krishna in our own lives. I wish all of you all the very best on your spiritual journeys, and I'll pray very intensely for all of you for a great progress in your spiritual journeys. And I'm praying and hoping that this Chaturmas, the 4 months of the rainy season that is just about to commence, becomes a very powerful impetus for you all to grow in your spiritual lives and do so much advancement in your spiritual journeys. Please take advantage of these 4 months. It is actually said that rainy season is a time where you should slow down from your economic perspective and doing all the things that you do for the world, and speed up from a spiritual perspective. Of course, we can't stop doing our jobs and doing whatever we need to do, but at the same time, let us at least try to increase our spiritual quotient in these 4 months, and try to see how we can connect with Krishna a little better, a little more intensely. And hopefully that will help us achieve so much more progress in our spiritual journeys and expedite our return back to Godhead. Thank you very much, and very grateful to all of you for joining in on this very special session on Ashadi Ekadashi Day. Hare Krishna.